So legacy paths are important in Civilization 7 because each time you complete a milestone, you end up getting a legacy point, which can then be used to upgrade your civilization when you change your ages. So today we're going to go through the science legacy path in the Age of Antiquity, and I'll show you how to complete it. I will have a guide coming out on each one. So anyways, starting off with the science legacy path, I did choose Benjamin Franklin as our leader because we get extra science, which will make this easier. And then I also chose the Maya civilization as they also get extra science as well from the surrounding area. If we put on the yields, you can see that the vegetation around us gives us free science. So when looking at the scientific legacy path, the first couple steps are pretty clear. However, once you get to the higher steps, it just says display codices, and that can be the complicated part. So the goal is to go through this game and show you basically how to display all 10 codices to finish the final milestone in the science legacy path. So let's get right into it. So for the first technology that we're going to want to choose, we want to look ahead a little bit and see what we need for our first part in the scientific legacy path. So we need writing. So for the first technology that you're going to want to get, you want to get pottery because that goes up towards writing. So we're going to get pottery and then move on from there. As for our next production, we're just going to make another scout, as the scouts can help us get some more science just by exploring. So with our first scout, we will send them out one and then use our search to just increase our search range so we can look for the discovery squares. Unfortunately, it looks like we didn't get any. Oh, I guess there's some out here. So yeah, so if you go on these, sometimes you can get extra science from them, which can really help with the legacy path. So now we get to grow our city. And I think that we're going to want to get more food first just so that our city can grow faster. And we may as well go for the happiness as well. So then we're going to command our scout to go up towards this one up here, or this discovery tile, so that hopefully we can get some extra science. And we'll just keep commanding him up there. We can hit next turn. Okay, so we can grow our city again. This time I might go for some science, and this looks nice because we have the ivory, the science, the music, and the happiness all in the same square. So we're going to grow our city there and then choose our next technology. So our next technology should be writing, as that will give us access to a library, which gives us a base yield of 2 science and then plus 1 science for each adjacent resource and each adjacent wonder. It also has 2 codex slots, which are important for completing the scientific legacy path. As you can see, for the scientific legacy path, the final milestone basically is you have to collect and display 10 codices, which requires basically completing the entire technology tree, or at least most of it. So unfortunately, we did not get any science. However, we did get happiness or culture, so we'll probably go for the happiness for now. So we get to choose our next production. We're going to make one last scout so that we have 3 in total, and then we'll move our other scout over this way. Okay, so we're going to move this scout forward and again use our lookout just so we can see if there's anything worth getting. It's probably worth coming down here and grabbing these. So we have unlocked our first civic, and the civics do matter, as if you come over and look at literacy, we do get 1 codex from literacy, and you can get some extra science from the different ones as well. But when you're starting out, they're not too important, so we're going to get discipline for our first civic. And then we also get to choose our government. Obviously, we're going to go with despotism so that we can get the plus 20% science for 10 turns during a celebration. So that's easy enough. And then for our first social policy, toolmaking is the obvious choice, as it gives us plus 1 production and plus 1 science right in the palace, exactly what we want. Then we're going to continue moving our scouts. We definitely want to pick up those camels in the future, as that allows us to have more resources assigned to a single city or settlement. And we'll probably go for the 10 production and 50 happiness, as that gets us closer to our first celebration. So the next thing we want is most likely a brickyard, as that does get us 1 more science. And there's a number of places we can put it. Probably going to build it out this way. And we can go to our next turn. So we have unlocked our first celebration, and we will choose plus 20% science for 10 turns. We could get plus 30% production towards training infantry units, but honestly, we're not going to be training any infantry units, so the science is the easy choice. And then we also get our second social policy, as eventually we may change this out, but we will get the plus 2 culture for now. So we ended up getting a narrative choice where we get the first codex, and we can choose to get 25 culture, 25 science, or 50 happiness. We will get the 25 science for sure, as that will help us with our technology. And then we have another narrative choice, again, where we get plus 50 science if we build a garden. Then we're going to choose our next technology. Now, the easy choice here is the Mastery of Writing, as it gives us +1 science on science buildings, and we gain one more codex. We also unlocked our next Civic. I think what we're going to go for is Mysticism so that we can eventually get Code of Laws and gain our Merchants. So that is what we will do. Okay, so we've unlocked our next narrative choice, and this is an easy one as we get +1 codex. Very easy choice for sure, as that will help us finish our legacy path. And then, so we get another technology as well. And so this is harder, as you know, animal husbandry and sailing doesn't specifically help us finish it, but we're going to go for animal husbandry, as it does give us extra production and food, and that will help us in the long run. So eventually with the technology, what we want to go for is we're going to want to go for a bunch of mastery. As masteries, as you can see, you gain codexes from a bunch of different masteries. You don't get them from all of them, but from these 4 masteries, you do get 1 codex from each of these, and that is very important to finish our codices and get all 10 to finish the path. Okay, so after building the 2 scouts and the brickyard, you're going to want to build a settler, as we need extra cities to have more libraries so that we can have enough room for all of our codices. So we're going to move our first settler here, as we have a good smattering of resources and growth around it, and I think that's a pretty good place to settle. So for our next production, I think we're going to build the saw pit, as it gives us some science and it gives us some culture, and it also adds to our total production value. All good things. We will put it right there, I think. Okay, so we got another Civic, and I think that this time we're going to go for the Mayan Civic of Reign of Chalk, as it gives us extra science from a wonder, and then it also gives us a Civic that gives us +1 science on all vegetated terrain and cities. Now we get to choose our pantheon. I think I'm just going to go for the God of the Sun, as it is pretty solid. You get +1 culture, food, gold, happiness, production, and science on the altar. Definitely a good choice, I think. And then we get our next narrative choice. We'll go for the -50% happiness so that we don't lose out on the science. And again, we're just continuing to explore with our scouts, doing our lookout every once in a while just to see what's around us and try to find more of the discoveries. And yeah, so once your settler has moved to where you want to settle it, you can hit the found settlement, and it founds your first settlement. So for our next technology, we'll probably get masonry, as it does give us +1 production on mines and quarries, and getting more production allows us to build more, which will allow us to get more codices in the end. Then we can build our next thing in our city. I think we're going to get the granary just so that we can grow faster, and we'll put it on that tile right there. Now we do get a leader attribute in the science. I think we definitely will go for the +25% science towards resource searching at tech masteries, as that will help us grow faster. So we can grow this town now, and we're definitely going for the incense, as it gives us +10% science, which will definitely be extremely helpful. Any percent increases once you have enough science do make a huge difference. Of course, right now it won't make a huge difference, but as we build up and get more and more science per turn, that 10% increase will be absolutely huge. So we've unlocked our next technology, just been playing along, scouting, nothing new. I've been defending a little bit against Khotan because they've been attacking, unfortunately, but that's okay. And so anyways, for our next technology, we will go for the Mastery of Masonry, as it'll give us +1 production on all of our production buildings, which again will help us build up and get our libraries to hold the codices. Okay, so I think that we're going to go for the calendar round, as it has after studying a civic gain science equal to 10% of its cost. That sounds pretty nice. So first we need to get the Lords of Shibalba, and once we have that, we will be able to go for the calendar round. Then we get to build our next production. The Kuna gives us +6 science, so we're definitely going to go for that. We'll put it right here to get the 6 science and 1 music. Then we will continue to move our guys around. Luckily, our scouts are actually pretty good at battle, as they are the Jaguar Slayers, so they have like 20 damage. And we're going to finish defending against Khotan as well, and then we'll heal up our units. So we get to grow our city now. Again, we're getting pretty big. I think that what we want to go for is for this gypsum, as that seems really good. We get the +4 production to any other city, or +2 to our main, and then we get 3 production, 1 science. So that's looking good. We can go into our resources, make sure it automatically slotted in. That is great. Then we continue exploring with our scouts. Alright, so we've unlocked our next technology, and I think we're going to go for currency, as we can unlock the Bath and the Market, both which are great buildings. So we've unlocked our next civic. We got the Lords of Zabala, and as I said, we're going to go for our last Mayan civic. We'll go for the calendar round to get that extra science. And honestly, I mean, the mastery looks pretty good, so we might get that as well eventually. But we do want to eventually go back and get literacy, as that does give us one of our extra codices. Now we can finally build our library. It will give us a bunch of science. It also has 2 codex slots. So we will build it in the best place possible to get the extra 4 science. So we just got another narrative choice that gives us another free codex, which of course we'll go for so that we can get all 10 codexes before the end of the age. Our library is finished in our main capital city, so make sure that you go and any extra codexes that you have, make sure you slot them in. So we already have 3 codexes slotted. That gives us our first milestone. So if we look at the progress, we hit our first milestone point on science, and then we need to hit 2 more. So as you see, we have the first 3, and then we're going to get 3 more, and eventually we need 10 to fill out all of our codices. And to do this, we will need more codice slots. So to do that, we're going to need to turn some of our settlements into cities so that we can build libraries in them. Because as you can see right now, all that we can fit in our main capital is 3. So for our next production, we definitely want to build another settler so that we can set up another town. And then for our next social policy, +1 science on all vegetated terrain in cities sounds amazing. And then we're going to get rid of the +2 culture on the palace and add in the +2 gold in all settlements. So we unlocked our next technology, and we're going to go for the mastery under currency so that we can gain another codex. Eventually, we're going to want to go for the wheel and the mastery below that as well, as that will give us another codex. And eventually, we will get enough codexes or codices to be able to get all 10. Okay, so we can grow our cities. So we're just going to go for one of these that gives us 2 science, 2 production, and 1 happiness. Doesn't really matter where we go, so maybe we'll go up north like that. Okay, so we finished our mastery to get our 1 codex. So now we're going to go for the wheel so that we can get that mastery for that 1 codex as well. So the next thing we're going to build in our main city is the altar, as we get +1 of each resource +5 science as well. It's pretty insane, actually. We're just going to build it right there. It seems like a great place to build it. Okay, so we've finished our next technology, and as I said, we are now going to go for the mastery of the wheel so that we get 1 extra codex. Overall, we're looking pretty good here. We have 1 codex here, 3 in our palace and library. We will be turning a Wakabnal into a city soon, and then we can build a library there and have 3 codices in that town as well. All in all, we started a new settlement up here called Uxmal, and it's looking pretty good. So overall, we're doing great. We do need to get more gold so that we can actually convert these into cities. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. I do have an army here that is moving out to take on some of the independent city-states just to give our commander some extra experience. Getting a little bit worried about Rome. They are pretty close to us and they're pretty hostile, as they did denounce us earlier. So we may have to gear up into war at some point. But Khotan's going well. We're about to convert them into, or we are the suzerain of them. So yeah, so anyways, overall, we're looking pretty good, and I will update y'all when we come to the next important decision. So we got another awesome narrative choice where we have to choose between 200 science and 1 codex. We will go for the codex. However, the science would be really great too. Okay, so we have gone through the technology tree and gone most of the masteries and most of the technologies. The next thing that we need is we need to unlock the academy, as it has 3 codex slots, and that's important because if we go into our codex, as you can see, we have more codexes and not enough places to put them, and the library does help. And once we can turn this into a city, like 2 turns from now, that'll help as well. We can build a library in that city as well. However, we'll still need more slots, so the way we do that is by building an academy. So to unlock the mathematics, we need to research engineering. And once we have engineering, we can either go for the mastery, which we get another codex from, or we can go for mathematics. And then in our main city, we are going to build 1 more settler, as we have room for 1 more. Okay, so we managed to get a lot of gold from a narrative choice. So now we are going to convert our town into a city, and this will help us out a bunch, especially with getting those extra codex slots. So the first thing that we're going to produce in the city is the brickyard, as we just need to get the production up a bit, as you can see, it's taking us forever to build anything. So yeah, so we're going to go for that brickyard. So we finally finished engineering, and we could go straight for mathematics, but honestly, we're still building up our cities a bit. So what we might go for first is for the mastery to gain that one extra codex. It also only takes 4 turns, so not very long. And our settler is in place for our 4 settlements, so we're gonna create that as well. Then we do get to grow it, and 2 and 2 and 1 is a pretty easy choice. So we've unlocked our next technology, so we will go for mathematics and finally get that academy for the extra codex slots. So we finally unlocked mathematics, which is great. If we take a look at our codices, we have 4 in here and then 3 being showcased. So we do need to build the academy as soon as we can. We can actually just queue it up. As you can see right here, it takes 5 turns, so we will put it right there. And once that is done, we will be able to put 3 more codices into Bach, and then we will be building our academy and stuff in this town as well. However, we are going to need more codices, which we will get from the technology tree. So if we look at our technology tree, now that we have the academy done, our number 1 objective is to unlock more codices. So I think that the fastest way to do that will just go for the mastery in mathematics. So we've unlocked our next civic, and we are going to go for literacy, as this is great for us because we get plus 50% production towards constructing science buildings, which is exactly what we want. We also unlock Nalanda, which gives plus 3 science, and you gain 1 codex, and it also has 2 codex slots, so huge, and then you also gain 1 codex. So literacy is absolutely huge, especially when you're going for this legacy path. Then now we can build a second academy, this one in our town, and that should give us a huge boost to how many codex slots we can have. So we've unlocked mathematics, and with this tech we get 2 extra codices. So if we go to our great works, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We don't have enough slots, but we'll have extra slots soon, and that means that soon we'll be able to slot in all of our codices and finally finish our legacy path. So for our next technology, we actually have a couple of options. We can either go for navigation or we can go for military training. And I'd say let's go for military training just because I like the idea of being able to get to future tech quickly. So our academy has finished building in our main town, which means that we can go up to the Great Works and slot in some. And as you can see, we can now fit all 6 into our main town, and we reach our next milestone. We could click on view progress and see that with this milestone, we gain 1 scientific legacy point, and we get a legacy option for the next stage where it's a collector of knowledge, where you get plus 1 science for every codex in Antiquity. And the first time any player reaches this milestone, 5 age progress points are added for all players. So we'll continue from there, and once we have our academy built in Workable Banal, that should give us an extra 5 slots, and then we can also build the library, which will eventually give us the next codex slots to slot all 10. We do need 1 more codex to get what we need, but with military training 2, that will be our last codex. So we are very close to the end of this video and finishing the challenge that I set before it. So let's make ourselves a quick arena. We're just going to keep going through the turns. There's our last codex that we needed. We'll respond to our diplomatic action real quick. Just do both of them. And then now that we have our final thing, we can set on iron working. And if we go to our codexes, we'll just need 1 last slot and we'll have all 9. So let's see if we can just purchase the library. Doesn't look like it, so might take a couple extra turns, but I will meet you there. Okay, so we have our reach codex slot. Our library was built in Wakabnal, so we're gonna throw that in there, and with that we finish our milestone for the science. It is completely done, and that is how you finish the scientific legacy path in the Antiquity age. If this video does well, if people enjoyed it, I will continue and make one on the economic, military, and culture for all 3 ages. Let me know if there's anything I can do better in my future videos. This is the first time, or my first time, making a video like this, so I'm sure that there are ways where I can improve it. If you want to see like more of the gameplay instead of me skipping to the important parts, let me know. Again, I don't know what you want without you telling me, so please let me know if this is a good way of doing this type of video or if you would like something different. So anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll have a video up at the end, probably just a news video or another guide. Feel free to click on that and continue watching. But yeah, Other than that, I hope you'll have a wonderful week. Have fun in Civilization 7, and I'll see you next time.